let me guess. Chances are that you want to blow your competition out of the water. Maybe you want to make rapid progress, or maybe you want to grow your business as an entrepreneur. Well, or perhaps you want to do the work in your current job like a champion. So the idea of more free time to travel, actually the gym, get the 7 to 8 hours of sleep that you deserve, and enjoy more time with your friends and family, and finally get rid of overwhelm. Now that's it. How the hell do you do this? What is the best way to become extremely productive? Generally spoken, if you think that 70-hour work weeks are needed, then you're wrong. Alright, so welcome everybody. My name is Nicholas and I'm a neuroscientist and high performance coach who specializes on the neuroscience of flow, which is this extremely productive mental state in which you're so deeply immersed and focused on a task that you even forget time. That said, flow actually does play a role in today's episode as well, as you will learn later. In any case, this video is intended for those of you guys who want to win free time to do more of what you desire, your hobbies, time for your family, relationships, dating, relaxing, whatever it is. And likewise, this video is also for those of you who are extremely ambitious. So maybe you want to beat your competition, make faster progress than them, or maybe you just want to earn more money. And perhaps you want to stop being an employee in your own company that hustles 70 to 80 hours a week for maybe a mediocre income. Or maybe you just want to excel at work generally to impress your colleagues and get a promotion. The thing is, whatever it is, increased productivity, which is the art to do less but to accomplish more, in fact, will get you there. So that said, in the first part of this video, I will first tell you about the truth. So I will tell you the truth about productivity because productivity does not mean to work more. That's what the hustlers out there get wrong, in fact. So if you think that you need to grind harder and invest more and more hours to be more successful, then you should watch this part in particular, the first part of this video, and you will be surprised because, for example, there are several companies like Microsoft that decreased from 5 to 4 days per week, in fact, and they saw an increase in productivity. So the decrease from 5 to 4 days, productivity increase. And in the second part of the video, I will tell you exactly what you need to do to get 6 days of work done in a single day, in 6 hours. Now, in fact, if you use the principle I explain and compare to the average person, it's actually even possible to get up to an entire month of work done in a single extremely focused day. Although that might be a topic for another video, because the art of the 1 month day is something that needs to be learned. Anyhow, before we start, and as always, please hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell as well, because of course that will help to grow the channel, and of course it will be a simple way to know what you actually want more of. Anyhow, that said, let's dive right in. Alright, so first and foremost, what you must know is that there is an equation for productivity. And productivity, simply put, is your output, or the results that you get, divided by your input. And your input could be resources like money, for example, or, of course, time. And looking at the equation, let me ask one important thing first. Will doing more work or investing more hours increase your productivity? And the answer is no. Just looking at simple maths, in fact, the more time you invest, the lower your productivity gets, in fact. Because it is the other way around, what you need to understand is that the art to increase your productivity is to do less and achieve more. In other words, what you need to do is to learn a skill called leveraging. Now, you've probably heard this a lot, but what on earth does leveraging actually mean? Now, leveraging means that you increase your output relative to your input. It means that you accomplish more while you reduce the amount of time that you spend. And it also means that you get the same amount of work done while working less. Now, why is all of that so important to understand for productivity? Because we all have a single problem. Our time is limited. Time is a finite resource, and we only have 24 hours a day. At least I have. I don't know how many you have. Hopefully the same. Anyhow, we can only use a set amount of time per day that we can use for working, also without burning ourselves out. There's a limit. There are only 24 hours, and there's only so much time that you can spend. And at some point, again, it just dives into burnout, and we don't want to go that far. Leverage, on the other hand, is infinite. It allows you to get out more of the time that you invest. To give you a simple example, Jeff Bezos at Amazon. Now, if you run a company yourself, then there's only so much that you can do. Obviously, you're all by yourself. However, if you have 750,000 employees that work for you, like Jeff Bezos at Amazon, then you can, for example, spend 1 hour of your day, maybe just send out a few email instructions to the department leaders, whatever. So basically, you can just send 1 hour a day, spend 1 hour a day to instruct these 750,000 employees to do 8 hours of work for you in a given day. So basically, you could work 8 hours yourself, or you can sacrifice 1 hour to instruct 750,000 employees in your company to do 6 million hours of work for you in a single day. So as you can see, leveraging is some crazy shit. However, that aside, let's just give you some more feasible examples of how you can leverage yourself without the need of having 750,000 employees, of course. Let's imagine that you are a business owner or salesman and that you want to take sales lessons to increase your conversion rate. In other words, you just want to become better at approaching people. You want to get better at talking to people and selling your products. So this could mean that you, let's say, have 5 customer meetings a day. So you meet 5 customers, you talk to them, you introduce your products, and you try to sell your products to them. And what ends up happening is that the extra sales lessons, the persuasion methods, etc., that you learn from a seminar, for example, might allow you to sell your product to 2 people instead of 1 person. And this means, again, that your productivity increased. You still have 5 customer meetings a day, you still use the exact same amount of time, but thanks to the sales lessons that you had, you now sell your product to more customers and you make more money. Another example would be presenting. Now, if you become very good at presenting, you will have to spend less time to prepare presentations and less time to practice them. In other words, if you just get so experienced that you can just pop a few points on the PowerPoint slide and then just wing it, as compared to spending hours and hours to create the perfect PowerPoint presentation, get the design right, practice this thing until it sits perfectly, while you just save a ton of time. And to give you a personal example, that's what happened to me basically, because when I worked as a project manager in the pharma company GSK, I had to hold freaking presentations every week. And obviously I didn't have the time for this. So instead of spending all of the time, like I did before, to make these elaborate presentations, to learn them in detail, learn every single word, the solution was to just get better at it. Just get better at presenting, get faster at making presentations, become more efficient. And I ended up doing so. I got better and I got a lot faster. So the important thing to note is that number 1, by improving your soft and hard skills in key areas, could be your communication skills, holding presentations, etc., you can increase your output and your productivity over time. While learning skills, of course, takes time and is a skill process. That aside, number 2, second outcome, The second lesson is that you need to be results focused. That's what we get into now. Because the point is that you need to use your time for tasks that evidently bring you results. This could mean that you spend time for tasks that make money or that are relevant to your goals. Later on, I will give you more details about this, in fact. Important here is that for productivity, always ask yourself, how can I work less but accomplish more and produce more results? Don't think about how you can work more. Think the other way around. Think, how can I work less, but how can I accomplish more and produce more results? At the end of the day, what matters is the results that you produce and not how many hours you invest. All right? There's no pride in working 80 hours a week. What you need to remember is that in turn, again, it's very impressive to work 30 hours a day to run $1 million company. And it's not necessarily impressive to burn yourself out by working 90 to 100 hours a week. So again, for God's sake, just get rid of the idea that you need to work endless hours and sacrifice all of your free time to be successful, because the point of productivity, that's where the pride is in again, is to do as less as possible, but to get incredible results out of the little that you do. Now, generally, as seen on the graph here, studies show that the quality of your work is actually at its highest when you work between, let's say, between 7 to 8 hours a day. It's a blue curve you see here. And likewise, max productivity is already reached at around 7-ish hours a day. That's the red line you see there. And that's also partially because the quality of your work actually decreases when you work beyond 8 hours a day. And now you might ask, the hell? Only 7 hours of work a day is enough to maximize my productivity? Are you kidding me, Nick? Well, yes. Let me add one more thing, in fact, just to make it even worse, of course, because the highest level of productivity is reached by working 35 hours a week. 35. That's 7 hours a day from Monday to Friday. What? Yes, indeed. For example, it has been shown in some studies that working 4 days a week, as opposed to the usual 5 days, increases productivity. And there are countless examples, countless companies that tried that, and one of them is Microsoft, in fact. They held a trial in Japan in which they closed their offices every Friday, and the result was that productivity increased by 40%. 40%, while they cut an entire day of workout. And I also need to mention that Microsoft in the Japan trial, they actually limited meetings to 30 minutes, and they promoted remote communication for their employees to save time there, because again, a lot of time is actually wasted with relevant tasks. More about that later. That aside, I will link you the article with more examples, including the Microsoft 4-day-a-week trial, in the comments, in the description. So check it out if you're interested. I also have to mention that 4 days of work per week did not always go well. That aside, if you do it right, it has been proven that working less indeed works to accomplish more. I have to say that even the centi-billionaire Elon Musk, he's soon the richest guy in the world and a crazy workhorse. In fact, he actually mentioned in an interview that he spends around 35 hours a week to run 2 of his billion-dollar companies, Tesla Motors and SpaceX. So it's basically 35 hours per billion-dollar company, you could say. It works. And the reason why productivity decreases beyond 7 hours or 35 hours a week is because of a phenomenon known as Parkinson's law. Now, as the law states, work expands to fill the time available for its completion. So what it means is the more time you give yourself to complete a task, the less pressure there is to get the time done. to get the task done. Now, if you have very little time, and if the deadline is tomorrow, for example, then you're behind, you will be on freaking fire. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So that is actually shown on the bottom right diagram there. If you give yourself 2 hours to finish a task, let's say you want to make a presentation, then you need to push it. You have to cut irrelevant things. You have 2 hours, and you will unconsciously basically apply the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule, which means that you will focus on a few things that matter. You will automatically focus on the 20% of things that give you 80% of the results, and you will do things so that you just get the presentation done. For example, to get the talk down in 2 hours, you might just copy the slide style of a previous presentation real quick. You just jot down the key bullet points real quick. You might briefly Google a diagram that you just put on the slide there to explain something complicated more easily, and you just quickly add a summary slide at the end. Done. And effective as hell. Now, on a neurobiological level, what happens here is that a tight deadline, if you have a very tight time limit, it creates risk. I mean, just imagine if you tell your boss that you will deliver the presentation in 2 hours and you haven't even started it, then you better hurry. You better get it to the point that you can present. And the key point here is that this risk caused by the tight deadline is a flow trigger. It gets you into the zone and is extremely focused and immersed state. Just comparable to when you play video games and you just forget everything around you because, again, it just doesn't matter at this point anymore. And what this means is that the mild stress in this situation, it causes the release of the stress hormone norepinephrine, also called adrenaline, and it releases some dopamine in your brain. And these are the neurochemicals that actually get you into this highly focused state. Those are the chemicals that get you into flow. On the other hand, when you have 8 hours, you give yourself 8 hours to be the presentation, then you will be a lot more lax. You will be less engaged. Simply put, should I use font size 12 or 16 for my text? What font size should I use? Calibri, maybe Arial? Let's just try a few. And this diagram, that looks so basic. Let's just make it more beautiful. Let's add a few colors to it. And of course, I also need my handwritten signature on the final slide. So let's just write it down, make a nice image, and get my most beautifulest handwritten signature on this freaking presentation as well. Now, you see the point, you see where I'm going with this. The danger is that the more time you give yourself, the more irrelevant things you will do, and the less effective you will work. You will just waste more time. Not to mention that the quality of your work, it actually decreases after 7 hours, if you remember the previous diagram. So I encourage you to set very harsh and very strict time limits for your work, because this will force you to become more productive, to get things done faster, and to focus on the 20% of things that actually matter, that give you 80% of the results. Alright, so to summarize everything thus far, you now know that productivity is the art to become more effective with your time and to work less so that you produce more results and that you accomplish more. And it's all about leveraging. Now, that said, did you know the true meaning of productivity and did you learn something new? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to know. Anyhow, now that we have the basics of productivity out of the way, let's get into the meat of the video. I will now cover how you can become more productive and how you can complete 6 days of work in a single day by only working for 6 hours. And for your information, the average person has a maximum of 11 minutes, only 11, of undisturbed focus a day. And summed up, the average person does around 1 hour of focused work in flow a day. However, in addition, this 1 hour is often spent for things that are just not relevant. For example, this 1 hour is spent to make that one diagram in their PowerPoint presentation the most beautiful diagram on planet Earth. So simply put, you can and you will be miles better in just a moment. And briefly, the next points, it will be an add-on to a video I made earlier, in which I describe how you can create your personal and custom-tailored success routine that is better than that of any celebrity. And I also cover the success basics that you need, how to organize and plan your day for maximum effectiveness while enjoying your free time, of course. So the link is in the description, so check it out after this video. Anyhow, now to complete 6 days of work in 6 hours requires 4 steps. And the first step would be to set goals. Now, this is crucial, guys. The idea is that you become a sniper, basically, like Deadshot in the new Suicide Squad movie. You need a target. And in the case of Deadshot, there are obviously thousands of people on the street, but he was hired to assassinate a single person for a massive $1 million bounty, of course. And sure, Deadshot could just grab a machine gun and basically just shoot down everyone on the street, but there would be a massive waste of ammunition and time. And again, the idea of productivity is to reduce your input. You want to use less money and less time, but you want to get out more. So instead, Deadshot just targets the one single person he actually needs to assassinate to get the bounty. No more, no less. And the same is true for your ambitions. You need to set a target or goal that you can knock out with precision. And I recommend that you set an overarching 3-year goal and that you work backwards from there. So from there you can define a maximum of 3 yearly goals, 3 quarterly goals, 3 monthly goals, 3 weekly goals, and then finally 3 daily goals that you can work on today. And it should not be any more than 3 goals, in fact, because you will become less and less specific and more wishy-washy, basically, if you set more than 3 key goals. Less is better, in fact. Again, we want to be specific. We want to be a sniper. We don't want to be a machine gun user and shoot down everything. Now, we will break this down even more to clear goals in a second, so stick with me for now. The next step would then be, after setting your goals, determine your priorities and mercilessly eliminate everything else. The best way to increase your productivity, in fact, is by freeing up time and by eliminating those tasks in your life that don't produce results. So those are the tasks that don't make you money or that are just useless for your goals. Now, for example, time on social media, pretty much wasted. You will never get it back. Answering emails, interviewing top authors, probably useless or only marginally useful if your goal is to publish a book. In this case, to publish the book, you simply need to use your time to write the goddamn book. Anything else is relevant and can be eliminated. I mean, even interviewing other authors, it might do a little bit for you, but at the end of the day, it doesn't get the book written. Again, if your goal is to publish a book, then you need to write it. That's the only task that actually matters. And sometimes you even need to drop things that you want to do and potentially do it in phases. To give you an example here, as a guitar noob, you see it back there, in fact, I want to get into learning a few Breaking Benjamin songs on the guitar, Diary of Jane, So Cold, etc. There are lots of them, in fact, on my list. In addition, one of my goals was also to write a review about the pathologic mechanisms that cause brain damage and memory loss in Alzheimer's disease. And guess what? I dropped both, for now at least, because I want to focus on getting some key experiments done in the lab for my PhD studies. Not to mention that I have a bunch of other publications to write, also in the field of dementia, to publish my own results, etc. In fact, the high-performance coach Brandon Burchard, he also recommends to have a drop list. So that means to re-evaluate your projects and your goals every month. And ask yourself, you really need to ask yourself, are the projects that I want to undertake relevant? Are they relevant for my overarching top 3 goals that I set? So the goals that I set for the next 3 years, the next year, the next quarter year, the next month, etc. And likewise, you also need to look at what you do during the day. Look at all of the tasks that you do in a given day, everything that's in your freaking to-do list that's probably exploding, and then just ask yourself, are these tasks actually relevant? Are these tasks actually making me money? Are these tasks contributing to my goals? And the general rule is, even if you are in doubt, eliminate. Eliminate, eliminate, eliminate. No mercy. Free up time. Because that's the point. You need time. And you can always reintroduce things at a later point, so don't worry. Just, if in doubt, eliminate the project. Eliminate the tasks. And the key here is also to use the Pareto principle and to focus again on the 20% of key tasks that give you 80% of the results. And a great way to figure this out, by the way, sounds a bit hypothetical, but again, a great way to figure this out is to ask yourself a simple question or a simple situation. Just imagine that your doctor would tell you that you have a serious heart condition and you can only work 2 hours a day. Otherwise, you could potentially get a heart attack. In this situation, you can only work for 2 hours a day to keep running your business and to actually make money still, or maybe to get the work done that you need to do for your boss and potentially even surpass the expectations of your boss and the demands. What would you do? You have 2 hours a day. What task would you do if you could only work for 2 hours to grow your business, to make money, or to get the key tasks done for your boss that you need to hit his or her demands or even surpass the expectations of your boss? And what you will notice actually is that with this mindset, things will change because you will change the way at which you look at tasks. That aside, next will be to schedule deep work and flow blocks for 3 hours, and then to define clear goals for each of that block. So generally spoken, your calendar is your best friend. What you need to do in particular is to schedule 2 deep work blocks of 3 hours, like I said. In addition, what is extremely crucial is that you set clear-cut goals that you must define in detail, in great detail in fact, because the more detailed your goals are, the less you need to think about it. And again, the less you need to think about it, the more it reduces your cognitive load and the more capacity you have to focus. The thing is, you don't want to think, should I do this? Should I do that? Maybe I should do that. No, just no. To be extremely productive, what you need is a clear-cut goal for your 3-hour block. Then you have a step-by-step to-do list that tells you exactly in detail what you need to do to accomplish the goal. To give you a more precise example, to make this video here, what I did is first I scheduled a 3-hour block on a Saturday with the goal to finish all video preparations. So the goal was finish all video preparations. And then I listed out exactly what this meant to me, what I had to do. And this meant that A, I had to do a research for the video. B, I had to write down the video script. C, I had to make the PowerPoint presentations you see right here to record them. And yeah, that was basically it. That's what I did in those 3 hours. And in the second flow block, I set in the goal to finish the video. And again, I listed out exactly what steps I had to do to finish the video, which was A, film the video, B, edit the video, C, make a thumbnail for the video, then D, write the video description, and E, upload the video to YouTube. And yeah, most importantly, what you also need during those 3-hour blocks is that you must not be distracted and you must not be interrupted. Also not self-inflicted, especially because every little interruption, even when just a colleague quickly knocks at the door, maybe asks you for a quick favor, any of that, it pulls you out of focus. It pulls you out of flow. And in fact, it takes another 20 minutes to get back to the same level of focus that you had before. So don't be distracted. For max productivity, it's very important to remove any possible distraction preemptively, in fact. So hide your freaking phone, put it in another room, don't be tempted. Deinstall the apps for Facebook and Co. Make it harder to actually access social media, in fact. Close your freaking emails and social media on your laptop as well, on your work laptop. Turn off all notifications. If you have to hang up that fuck off sign on the door of your office, I don't care. Just do it. And block off any websites that could distract you. There are actually even tools out there to do that. And yeah, in addition to that, get everything that you need. Open up your documents that you want to work with. Get a large bottle of water. Have your utensils and maybe a notebook ready, etc. So the idea here really is to make it harder to do things that distract you. Again, walking to another room to get your phone sucks, for example, so you're unlikely to do it. And on the other hand, make it easier to do the things that you want to do. Just make it more accessible. Open up the documents you want to work with, get all of your materials ready, etc. So simply put, in those 3 hour flow blocks, only you, your work, and your goals exist. You, your work, and your goals. Nothing else. No distractions, no interruptions. And what this will do is that you will spend 6 hours in total, 2 times 3 hours, for deeply focused work in flow. And again, don't forget that you want to be a sniper like Deadshot. It's not enough to just be focused. What you need to do again is to set clear goals so that you shoot down your top 3 goals for the day. That's how you set it all up. And why this is so extremely effective, you ask? Because basically the average person, A, works off random tasks from a to-do list, no priorities, no goals in mind. They just have a million things on the list. Is this actually relevant to their top 3 goals of the day? Who knows? Maybe. And the second thing is that the average person is constantly distracted and constantly interrupted. Just for reference, again, the average worker has 11 minutes only of uninterrupted focus. So basically, they never even get the 500% productivity boost that flow or deep focus actually offers. And I'm serious, flow can get you easily to 500% increases in productivity. In addition to that, the average worker is interrupted 56 times a day. They check emails 36 times a day to distract themselves. So, simply put, do the things that I mentioned here. Schedule your 3 hour flow blocks. Set crystal clear goals that contribute to your top 3 goals of the day. Knock them out like a sniper. And in your 3 hour blocks, list exactly what you want to do step by step, because that will decrease cognitive load. You will have to think less and you will have more capacity in your brain to focus. And lastly, what you can also do to become even more effective is to batch similar tasks. Now, as you probably know, multitasking forces your brain to switch between different tasks. So it's hard to focus on a single thing at once. For example, let's try to focus on breathing in 4 seconds and exhaling 4 seconds. So 4 seconds each. Simple. Now, then try doing that again. Try inhaling and exhaling while you circle your right hand and your left hand in different directions. So I pulled it down somewhat decently, but the point is that it's harder to focus and it's harder to pay attention in either of them. Because now I have to focus on breathing in 4 seconds while I turn one of the hand forward one of my hands backward. And guess what? The more you try to add in now, the more you try to do at once, the more your overall focus dilutes. Because again, you have to do all of these things at once. And similar to a computer, we only have a set bandwidth. So the brain area that is actually responsible for logic thought and for executing tasks, that's our prefrontal cortex more precisely, is going to slow down the more things you do at once. And again, this will increase your total focus. In fact, the Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman, he said it himself, anything that occupies your working memory reduces your ability to think. That's why it's very important to actually unifocus if you want to be more productive and if you want to produce higher quality work. Forget about multitasking. Multitasking doesn't work, even if you think it does. And I don't care if you're a woman or not, it doesn't work. And the same is actually true for task switching. Avoid it at all costs. Don't task switch. Even if all of the tasks you are do or switch between are relevant, because the problem is that we pay for switching tasks with a task switching penalty. Now, let's say you try to switch from writing a business report to making a presentation. Both needs to be done, and you just switch back and forth and back and forth. Every time you switch, your brain needs to go through something called a re-engagement surge. That's because writing a business report and making a presentation, they're just fundamentally different tasks. And basically what this means is that your brain needs to warm up every time you switch tasks, because both tasks, again, writing the business report and making the presentation, they require different neuronal networks in your brain. So what it means is that task switching makes you less effective with your time. Again, because you always need to warm up. I need to do this warm up. You switch, you need to warm up. You switch, you need to warm up again. So it takes a while until you get back into it. And that makes you overall less effective with your time. And it also reduces your attention. You are in fact more likely to make errors as well when you switch tasks a lot, which has been proven in studies. Now, even more, it's crazy to know that studies found that multitaskers actually have less gray matter in the brain areas that process attention. And some studies even claim that habitual task switches are more likely to have traffic accidents, in fact. So less brain matter in attention focusing brain areas are more likely to have traffic accidents because you're more likely to make more likely to make accidents due to task switching. Doesn't sound good, so don't do it. However, you can avoid this task switching penalty, in fact. And the way in which you do this is that you could simply do very similar tasks in a given day. For example, you can dedicate an entire day to batch produce the 4 business presentations that you have in the upcoming week. Or alternatively, you could schedule a growth day in which you just attend several seminars to learn a new skill that allows you to leverage your time and your productivity. Again, that could just be learning new sales skills. It could be learning new persuasion skills. What I personally do in the lab, for example, as a dementia researcher, is that I actually exclusively do lab work, or I exclusively write publications. Again, those are 2 different things, require different brain networks, and it's more efficient to just do one of them. So altogether, again, insane productivity involves that you batch similar tasks, that you hyper-focus on a single clear goal in your 3-hour flow sessions. Then you list all of the tasks that you need to do to fulfill your clear goal. And finally, you knock out these tasks step by step by step by step without allowing any distractions. Because ultimately, like a sniper, like Deadshot, you want to shoot down your top 3 goals of the day, target by target, and get the juicy bounty, of course. So make use of your time. Spend 6 hours a day, as I outlined here, in deeply focused flow so that you can accomplish more than the average person does in a week. And in addition, you can also add 1 hour, maybe to batch reply to emails. In fact, at the end of the day, you can tidy up loose ends, you can pre-plan the next day, and you are good, my friend. And I was actually, in fact, conservative here because the average person works less specific than you hopefully will from now on. So you will produce better work, you will create more results, and you will earn more money than the average person ever would, even if I were to do the exact same 6 hours of flow like you do, because you work more specific. And in turn, since you now only need to work 35 hours a week basically to outcompete everyone else by miles, you will win the free time that you deserve to enjoy yourself. So you finally get the 7 to 8 hours of work that you need and deserve. You can train up your body in the gym. You can get the woman of your dreams. You can spend time with your family and friends. Or on the other hand, if you are extremely ambitious, of course, they can use the extra time to go to seminars, maybe to educate yourself, to read more, to improve your abilities, and to become your best self inside and outside of your profession. And that concludes the video. So, as always, thank you for your time and attention, and I hope that this video has been insightful and valuable for you. And if it was, please hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button because I would highly appreciate that. And of course, if the video was helpful for you, there would be a simple way for you to say thank you as well. And before you leave, drop me a quick comment. Did you know the true meaning in the formula for productivity? So output divided by input. And were you surprised by the fact that you should aim to work less to be more productive? Lastly, also make sure to apply the 4 steps that I showed you earlier to get 6 days of work done in 6 hours. So when you pre-plan your next day this evening, you hopefully do this, just grab your schedule, set your top 3 goals for the next day, schedule your 2 3-hour flow sessions, and clearly list what you want to accomplish in those 3-hour sessions. So step by step, what will you do to accomplish your clear goal for the flow block?